I want to just remind you for a moment why we started Gray Fox Realty, and that was to help folks like you sell their homes for a whole lot less, and that's how our flat fee model got started.
So the news media and social media and friends and family are probably all talking about what kind of changes are going on in the real estate space, but we just want to give you the straight up facts. We've read the settlement and we want to share those with you.
All right, so Mike, what is the first change that we're going to experience?
Yeah, so really two changes are what's coming down. That first one is that buyers must have a buyer's agency signed agreement before they tour any property. So now that we know you've got to have a buyer's rep agreement out there, what are some of the things that this new buyer's rep agreement has to clearly define?
Yeah, well, the first thing is that it states that it's fully negotiable, right? So there's no set rate, so everything can be negotiated.
I love that. That's great for consumers and making things transparent.
Yes.
The two of the next things that they required in that is the roles and the services need to be clearly defined. So the buyer knows what they're getting from their agent as far as services. And then the next thing that's in there is clearly defined the compensation, how much the buyer's agent is going to be paid for those services.
Well, the interesting thing about that too is that, it's capped. So they can't make anything more than what is stated in that buyer's rep agreement. So
that's a very big key as well, as we'll learn later.
So as we mentioned, there's two big changes. The first one is the buyer's rep agreement, which we've covered. The second one is that the MLS will no longer allow us to show what compensation is being paid on the MLS. So that's a huge change, because before, buyer's agents knew what they were going to, or what they could expect to be paid on a transaction. Now, that is no longer the case.
Yeah, and so that opens up a whole new world, and it's a world which Gray Fox Realty is really eager and excited to explore. We expect now that with that removed, we're going to use and leverage sellers' concessions, and you guys get to negotiate what you want to pay a buyer's agent on the purchase and sale agreement.
So before we get into any more of that, does that mean that a seller shouldn't expect to pay any compensation?
No, I think that it's just a difference in semantics. Typically, sellers paid the listing broker and the listing broker paid the buyer's agent. We still think that you're going to get the best money for your house, bring the most buyers to your property with buyer's agents, because that's where most of the buyers are. And so they will come to your property if you're buyer agent friendly, but you no longer have to give the money to Gray Fox Realty or to your listing agent to hand it down to a buyer broker. Our expectation is that you can negotiate with the buyer agent directly on the purchase and sale agreement, and then you can weigh offers and the seller net, quite honestly, at the same time to see what is in your best interest.
So that really is starting to empower the seller now to have more negotiating power in this whole transaction.
Yes, you're now for the first time able to negotiate the true seller net on your property. And the MLS has opened up a new field for us. That one is already in place. It's called seller's concessions. You can use that in a multitude of ways. The first way is you can just say, yes, I'm open to seller's concessions, and don't discuss an amount. The second way is you can decline to list any seller's concessions as a checkbox. And the third way is you can say, yes, I'm open to seller's concessions, and even list an amount.
So, Mike, with that in mind, with that concession out there, if they put $1 amount in there, does that mean our sellers are obligated to pay that amount?
Good point. So, then the MLS is quite clear on this. Any offer of a seller's concession on the MLS is just that, an offer of concessions, but must be fully negotiated out in the purchase and sale agreement.
Okay, so Mike, every time we sit down with sellers, they all typically have a seller net in mind, right? And we do our best. We put together a worksheet, that when they get an offer, we send it to them, and it highlights all the costs that are associated with, that are outlined in the current offer. So what does that look like after the 17th?
Yeah, well, sellers, it's in your favor. Just hear us out. This is something positive for you. You've been in a situation before where you predetermined and posted on the MLS that I'm going to pay a buyer's agent, let's say it's 3%, and then you got an offer and it didn't meet your net. You only have one choice.
Right.
Negotiate price to get to your desired seller net.
Because we couldn't negotiate the compensation because that was already predetermined, right?
Yeah, and it's against code of ethics to negotiate commission during an offer at that point. So this is giving you the power to negotiate compensation within the offer. And so if you want to hit your seller's net, you can either raise the purchase price or you can reduce the offer of compensation to a buyer's agent and have those meet right where your seller net expectation is. So it's a win for sellers, in my opinion.
Again, being more transparent and allowing the seller to have a seat at the negotiation table on all fronts.
Yeah, and the buyer's in that negotiation table as well, because the buyer signed the purchase and sale, and they pre-signed a buyer's rep agreement that said that's what my agent deserves to be compensated, and if it can't be paid from the purchase and sale, then they'll cover it themselves.
All right, another win for the sellers.
So it may seem like a totally new concept to you to consider negotiating and even paying for a buyer's agent compensation on the purchase and sale agreement itself. But when you really break it down to its root of what they're asking you to do, we've been doing it all along and you just don't really realize it. Can you think of another place in the purchase and sale, Joey, where a buyer might ask and negotiate with a seller to pay for a service?
Oh, sure. Well, you have the title policy. I mean, that's a negotiable item that's in the contract.
Yeah.
But typically you see that the buyer's going to ask the seller to pay for that.
Yeah. So you're saying that the buyer says, seller, pay for a service that I'm going to get, which is title policy, for me while I own the house, and I want you to pay for it. What's the difference between that and the buyer going, seller, I want you to pay for my buyer's agent's compensation so he can help me buy your house, and I'm negotiating on the purchase and sale role? As long as either Joey or I have been licensed, the compensation has always been the same way. The listing broker collects it and co-brokes it to a cooperating agent, and now it's a new world, and we are educated. We've done the research and talked to other brokers and agents around the country, and we feel this is the best way forward for you. But just trust us, there will be some learning curve still along the way.
One of the things that we want you to know, that again, our heart has not changed. We are here to help you, and we have your back.